loves, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about cycle syncing because no diet, no workout and no fasting schedule is going to work for you if you're fighting against your hormones. That's why cycle syncing has been a significant help to having my dream body, to balance my hormones and to be glowing like I am right now. When you understand how your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol and insulin work all together, everything starts to feel easier. Your cravings start to make sense, your energy starts to make sense, and even your mood swings start to make sense. And instead of fighting your body, you finally start working with it. So please know that your cycle is nothing bad, it's not a burden, it's a blueprint and it's something beautiful. Every week your hormones shift like a season and your body tells you exactly what it needs. We were just not listening until now, and we were not educated enough. We eat the same way, we work out the same way, we fast the same way every day, and then we're wondering why we're feeling bloated, why we're feeling exhausted, and why our hormones are not balanced. The problem is most of us have never been taught how to listen to our feminine body, and I purely think that every girl before she hits puberty, we need to have classes in high school or the school before that about hormones, about our menstrual cycle. And I'm so mad because this has never ever been considered. And cycle syncing is finally understanding your feminine body language. Food, fasting, workouts, seed syncing, tea syncing, all in tune with your own rhythm. And what we're gonna talk about is not another wellness trend, it's actually your biology and it's science that all women need to know to feel and to look their best. And if you need to focus on one thing, I want you to focus on what I'm going to talk about in this video. Forget about all the diets that you have done until now, clear the fitness girl mindset and clear your mind and step with a new mindset into watching this video. Wanting to learn about your woman body, feel like a woman, lose weight like a woman, eat like a woman and be a woman. So let's start, and today I have constructed the video in several parts. First is going to be what to eat and when to eat according to your cycle. Second is fasting syncing, when and how long to fast according to your cycle. Third, of course, is workout syncing, when and how long and how much workouts you should do according to your cycle. Then we have tea syncing, what teas you should drink according to your phases, and seed syncing. So now let's talk about what to eat and when to eat according to our cycle, because as women we have been given one size fits all diets and our hormones are just not taken into consideration. And I have learned the hard way that you cannot eat like a man and expect a woman's body to thrive. If you have followed me until now, you know that when I was a teenager I lost my period, got thyroid problems and developed an eating disorder. All of this from undereating, over fasting, overworking out and just living my life, counting calories, obsessing how much calories I have now, what should I eat, how long I should fast. I was starving myself because I was fasting and I was not doing it the right way, the woman's way, and I got thyroid problems from overfasting. Since then, I'm educating myself and trying to nurture my woman's body. Nothing made me feel more confident, sexy, healthy, glowing, in tune with my body and just in my dream body. So remember that we cannot copy male fasting routines, male diets and male working out routines if we don't want to pay the price as I did. So now after this video, I want you to stop pushing harder and start glowing by syncing smarter. Now let's talk about food syncing and eating for each phase. First, I want to educate you a little bit on how our hormones are connected and everything influences everything. So cortisol is your stress hormone. We all know that. But what you may not know is that when cortisol is high, it pushes the strings on everything else. It imbalances the insulin, and the insulin imbalances the estrogen, progesterone and testosterone. So cortisol is like the boss hormone. And before starting on any new diets, I want you to focus on your nervous system. And because during our menstrual cycle our hormones go up and down, it's very important to understand how cortisol and insulin influences them so we can understand why we should eat differently through every phase. So first things first, estrogen feels its best when your blood sugar is calm and steady. When you're constantly spiking your insulin through constant snacking, pizza, pasta, and not controlling your blood sugar, your hormones just cannot function in their natural rhythm. And instead of glowing, you end up with mood swings, bloating, and low energy. That's why in our follicular and ovulatory phase, when our estrogen is rising and it needs to be high, it's extra important to keep in mind to keep your blood sugar stable. When you're eating this way, you're not restricting, you're simply creating an environment where your estrogen can shine. Second, progesterone is your calming feminine hormone. But when your stress is high, your body makes cortisol instead of progesterone, because survival always comes in first place over fertility. That's why when we're in our luteal phase, when our progesterone should be at its peak, it should be high, it's extra important to work on our nervous system and our stress and be calm. This means we should not go low on carbs, because during our luteal phase, as we said, we're more cortisol sensitive, and if we go low on carbs, we're stressing our body. Therefore, cortisol is gonna go up and progesterone is going to tank down. As well, I don't want you to overwork out yourself in the gym. I want you to swap those intensive workouts with yoga, walking, pilates, and stretching. I want you to protect your peace and say no more often, because you need to create a calm environment for both your body and for your mind. When you treat your luteal phase like a more calm, nurturing season, your hormones are going to reward you. So remember it like this: low carbs, high cortisol, lower progesterone, when progesterone actually needs to be high. As we said, insulin rises from quick, heavy carbs like pasta, pizza, sugar, constant snacking, stress, and elevated insulin lowers estrogen when it needs to be high and keeps fat locked into storage. And on top of this, high cortisol makes you insulin resistant. And above everything that I said now, I want you to know that there's an antidote. So oxytocin is the hormone of love, safety, calmness, and connection, and it sits on the very top. And when oxytocin is high, cortisol is low. I want you to know that without oxytocin, balance is just impossible. So I want you to make sure that you do more things like petting an animal, talking with a family member, laughing, having sex. Yes, having sex can make you lose fat. Meditation, yoga, massages too. And without balanced cortisol, no diet, no workout, no fasting schedule is going to work for you. That's why I always preach that first you need to work on your nervous system before you work on any new diet. So now, knowing what affects your hormones, we're gonna talk about what you should eat during each phase of your cycle. So during your menstrual phase, your estrogen and progesterone both are very low, and you can be a little bit cortisol sensitive if you're tired or stressed. And the goal is to support energy, replenish the nutrients during our period, and just to calm our body. For food, I would suggest iron-rich foods like red meat, lentils, spinach that replace blood and prevent fatigue. Warm, hydrating foods like soup, bone broth, and cooked vegetables that are very easy to digest and suit your nervous system. Moderate protein like eggs, avocados, salmon. And I wanted to say that every phase needs a lot of healthy fats, so there is no phase that you need to lower healthy fats. Actually, we need to be feasting on healthy fats for our overall hormonal health. And of course, complex carbs like sweet potatoes, pumpkin. And my tip really for menstrual phase is to nourish and focus on moderate carbs, because both estrogen and progesterone are low and energy tends to drop, and therefore cortisol can rise as borrowed energy. So carbs will help you to replenish the energy and keep insulin stable, but really focus on complex carbs like sweet potato and pumpkin. But don't say, oh, it's my menstrual phase, I can eat a little bit more carbs for my energy. No, you cannot eat excess pasta and pizza now. I just want you to focus more on complex carbs and home cooked meals. During our follicular phase, which is the transition from our period to ovulation, estrogen is rising and our insulin sensitivity is very high. And here the goal is to support estrogen and to keep insulin stable. So for foods here in our follicular phase, I would suggest lean protein like chicken, turkey, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt that stabilize your blood sugar and support estrogen balance. And of course, vegetables and a lot of fiber like leafy greens, cruciferous veggies, broccoli, cauliflower that help estrogen detox and balance. And as we said, we need to feast on healthy fats every phase of our cycle. This is no comment. Again, avocado, olive oil, nuts, salmon that supports cell function and estrogen production. And as well, our ovulatory phase, which is our mid-cycle, estrogen is at its peak, it's very high, and progesterone is starting to rise, which means that our insulin sensitivity is still very high. The goal here again is, as in the follicular phase, to support ovulation and to prevent any insulin spikes, just to keep our insulin stable. For foods again, I would suggest high protein meals like eggs, salmon, turkey that support energy and hormone synthesis. Basically, what we ate in our follicular phase, it's good to eat in our ovulatory phase too. Antioxidant rich foods are good like berries, tomatoes, red peppers, overall dark skin foods that protect the ovary health. We're feasting on healthy fats always, constantly, and fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut that support good health and estrogen metabolism. And because in our luteal phase our progesterone is rising and it's high, and our cortisol sensitivity increases. Therefore, our cravings can very much spike, but the good thing is that our insulin sensitivity drops. But as we said, when progesterone is high, I want you to focus on not to cut carbs, but prioritize them, because low carbs mean high cortisol, which means low progesterone when we really need it to be high. And of course, no stress here is needed, so I want you to be very calm at home, just snuggling in bed. I want you to eat carbs. I want you to say no if you don't want to go out. I just want you to listen to your body and to really support your nervous system. And the goal here is really to protect your progesterone and to really prevent cortisol-induced blood sugar spikes. For foods, I'm going to suggest really a little bit more slow digesting carbs. We want to focus more on carbs like, again, sweet potato, oats, brown rice, fruits that help you stabilize blood sugar and keep progesterone high. I want you to eat magnesium-rich foods like dark chocolate, pumpkin seeds, spinach that calm your nervous system and reduce stress. And of course, we're going to focus a lot on fat in every meal like salmon, avocado, and a little bit of protein like eggs and some meat if you like, that prevents blood sugar crashes. Warm and grounding foods like soup, stews, and root vegetables that help you calm cortisol and in general just feel good in your stomach and your digestion. My tip is to avoid low carbs because it will really spike your cortisol, which will tank your progesterone. As well, while we still talk about food, I want to tell you something. Stop picking low fat foods from the supermarket shelf. If you see a low fat label, better put it back and forget about it, because low fat means high sugar, because the food industry replaces fat with sugar. So I want you to forget about low fat labels, but for example, skyr, which is a Scandinavian yogurt which I adore, it's naturally low in fat, which is okay if it's naturally low in fat. But if it's processed low in fat, trust me, there are added sugars and you're doing more damage eating low-fat labeled foods than eating naturally fatty foods. When you eat for your cycle instead of against it, your body feels safe. And when it feels safe, it lets go of weight, fat, bloating, and all of the things you have been fighting. Lastly, while we're still on the topic of foods, I really wanted to add something very important. I want you to eat prebiotic and probiotic-rich foods for you to build a healthy microbiome, because 90% of our bacteria is in the gut. In my home country, we're very used to eat prebiotic and probiotic rich foods, and we eat them on a daily basis without noticing. But if you have done some antibiotic sessions, or you have been on the birth control, or you're still on the birth control, it's very likely that you have killed a very big part of your good gut bacteria. So of course, I want you to cycle sync with the foods, with everything that we said until now. But please focus on probiotic and prebiotic rich foods too. Probiotics are basically the good bacteria in your gut, and prebiotics is the food for your good gut bacteria, and we need to feed them, otherwise they will die. And I wanted to add something else, polyphenol foods that are creating a nurturing home and environment for your good bacteria. They are packed with antioxidants and protect your bacteria. Now I want to say a few words about cortisol so we can remember it. Remember that cortisol is our boss hormone. If cortisol is high, every other hormone pays the price. High cortisol tanks progesterone, high cortisol spikes insulin, and high insulin drops estrogen. For example, when you undereat, you cause your body to be in a constant state of stress, which actually makes insulin higher. High cortisol keeps you inflamed, puffy, and craving sugar. And your stress doesn't rise only because of too much stress at work, home, school. It raises if you overdo yourself from overworking out, for example, and try to force your body in a state of health. Remember that women's body is so much sensitive to stress than men's. We're hormonally designed to procreate, and when our stress is high, it signals to our hormones to shut down. So before you obsess over diets and fasting, ask yourself, am I balancing my stress? Am I stressed right now? What is stressing me? Because you cannot be in a state of stress and build health at the same time. And remember that cortisol can spike your blood sugar as much as a piece of cake can. Oxytocin hormone, which as we said is the feeling of safety, softness and connection, is the antidote. Look someone loud, journal, take a shower, get yourself a pet, because without oxytocin, no amount of perfect eating will save your hormones. And as women, we really need a lot of oxytocin, which makes oxytocin on the top of the hierarchy, and it really has the power to balance all of our other hormones. Now I want to say a few words about insulin, because as we know, everything is connected, and then we're gonna continue with our fasting thinking. So I want you to know that insulin is a sugar storing hormone, and good glucose is actually the fuel for ourselves. But if we're constantly snacking and eating a high sugar and heavy carbs, our body stores the excess sugar that is not used for energy in our muscles, in our fat, as a fat storage, and in our liver. And for you to clean this excess sugar and this fat storage is by fasting, walking, and by eating consistently a little bit less. Fasting gives your cells a reason to use this excess fat storage and sugar that is stored and undo all the damage from our previous diets and our constant insulin spikes. And on top of this, fasting forces your body to release extra insulin. As I have always said, if you're eating past full, you're feeding something else. Because as you can become insulin resistant from too much insulin spikes, you can become dopamine resistant from using food all day long to feel good. Being addicted to dopamine is not good, but studies actually show that you can reset your dopamine system through fasting. Talking about fasting, now it's time to start talking about fasting thinking. I really love fasting, but I was not doing it the right feminine woman's way, and that's why I got thyroid problems, because I destroyed my hormones. But now I educated myself and I'm doing it the right way. So let me first share the fasting cleanse with you and see what they're actually doing. As we talked about the dopamine reset fast, this happens around 48 hours of fasting. Then we have the immune reset fast, which happens at 72 hours. We have the fat burning fasting, which is at 36 hours. We have the gut reset fast, which is at 24 hours. We have the autophagy fasting, which is 17 hours. And we have intermittent fasting, which is between 12 to 16 hours. As I said, fasting can be dangerous if it's not done right with us women. So now it's time to remother ourselves on the topic on how to fast, because women are not small men and we cannot fast aggressively every day. We do it the smart way. We sync fasting to our cycle. As I shared, if fasting is not done right, the body prioritizes survival mode. So it's going to shut down all of your sex hormones. It can trigger hypothyroidism, which I have until today. So we need to time our fasting to our menstrual cycle. But doing things the feminine woman way, especially teaching ourselves how to nurture a woman's nature, it's the path to feeling like ourselves again, and it's like returning home to our body. I was very uneducated in my teen years, and I was doing fasting every day. I was doing intermittent fasting every day, 16 hours, 8 hours eating window. And because nobody told me that I need to acknowledge things like estrogen and progesterone, and I was always on the mind, one size fits all. If a man does it, I can do it too, because everything out in the internet back then and until today actually is one size fits all. As internet can really help you a lot with information, it can really sabotage you too. I really didn't know what estrogen or progesterone was. For me, it was the month where I don't have period and where I have period. This was it. All of it, I was thinking period, no period. I didn't know what was luteal phase. I didn't know what was ovulation. This made me feel so stuck and out of control with my body, and that's why we need education. Because without education, we're going nowhere, and that's why I'm here to share my experience and my knowledge. So as I said, I want you to clear your mind from every diet that you have done until now, because all of them include severe calorie restriction, poor food quality, constant cortisol surges, and one size fits all. all mindset. Until now, you have just been in a health roller coaster ride. Most diets have blindly disconnected you of your woman's feminine body design. And this is leading straight to frustration, self-doubt, and what am I doing wrong? And this dieting madness needs to stop now. The results that you want to happen will happen when you step aside from this diet culture and understand how your amazing body was designed, and start listening and syncing your feminine woman body. Calorie in and calorie out diets and mindset will only make you feel stuck, and of course it will hardly make you lose any sustainable weight, because you're going to be constantly in this tracking, binging, restrictive cycle. So now it's time for fasting syncing. During your menstrual phase, I want you to skip fasting or keep it very gentle, up to 12 to 13 hours max. What I do, because I always stop eating around 8 o'clock during the night, I always, during my menstrual phase, eat around 9:30 o'clock in the morning. During your follicular phase, you can do intermittent fasting like 16 hours or 24 hours or 32, 36, 72 hours if you feel strong. The longer the fast, the better. Estrogen loves ketosis, so fasting will give you all its benefits without destroying your hormones. And estrogen loves when insulin is low, and fasting lowers, basically uses excess insulin, so insulin is stable and low. So basically the follicular phase is the perfect phase where you can do fasting and longer fasting. What I do is once a month I do 36 hour fast during my follicular phase, because I want to repair my cells. I want to get all the benefits from fasting. I want to do a little bit of a gut reset. I want to reverse all the mistakes that I did with my insulin spikes when I was snacking or eating heavy carbs during the past month. And of course, I have still a little bit of stubborn fat in my hips and on my belly, and fasting really helps to get rid of this stubborn fat that nothing has helped until now. And if you're doing longer fasts, it's very important to know what to eat after you're getting out of your fast. So it's very important to nurture your hormones with something with protein, something with fats, healthy fats, like salmon, avocado, nuts. You cannot jump out of your fast and say, oh, I was not eating the whole time, I can eat pasta now and a whole pizza. No, it's very important how you nurture your hormones after you were doing this long fast. It's very important, because otherwise it can backfire and you're not gonna get any of the benefits of fasting. And right now, as I'm filming this video, actually I'm on my 36-hour fast. Right now I am, I think, on 15 hours. I'm just going to tell you now. Yes. So right now I'm on my 36 hours. As I said, I'm doing it every month, once a month. And it's finishing tomorrow around 12 o'clock. So I'm going to start my feasting period again, my eating period, with a meal I have planned to bake in the oven: salmon, sweet potato, mashed potato, olive oil on the salmon, broccoli, and a little bit of sea salt for minerals. During your ovulation phase, you need to keep it moderate, so up to 15 to 16 hours fasting maximum. So just have an early dinner or later breakfast, and usually it's always better to have an earlier dinner for your digestion, for you to go easy to bed, and earlier breakfast for the sake of your hormones. And during your luteal phase, it's basically the same as your menstrual phase. No fasts or very short fasts, like 12 to 13 to 14 hours maximum. So longer fast in follicular and shorter to no fast in your menstrual and luteal phase. If you're loving this, my subscription channel, The Feminine Diaries, is launching soon. That's where I'm going to give you a visual breakdown of everything, step-by-step challenges that we're going to do together, education about our woman's body health, and practices to bring more femininity in how you eat, how you move, and how you glow. Stop obsessing, but start living the way you're meant to as a woman. This is going to be your private diary, where so many girls like you have the same goal: to learn how to be slim, healthy, glowing, and radiant without fighting their body. And there we're going to be able to go through everything together. All of your questions are going to be answered, because there's no shame to ask. We are learning every day something new. And that's the beauty of life, because it never gets boring. Now it's time to talk about workout syncing, because since I stopped pushing myself in the gym like a gym rat, my body completely transformed. Since I started syncing my workouts to my cycle and stopped pushing hard but syncing smart, I don't have bulky big tights anymore. My body looks amazing. I have never felt so good in my body. So I want you to know, don't push harder, think smarter. Remember this. During your menstrual phase, as we said, all of our hormones are low and we're very cortisol sensitive. So best workouts are not to push yourself, but like gentle movement, walking, yoga, Pilates, but Pilates not high, hardcore Pilates, reformer Pilates, mostly like body weight Pilates at home. So like 10, 15 to 20 minutes home workout sessions are perfect. Heavy lifting and workouts like high intensity workouts can spike your cortisol during that time, and easy low impact workouts actually help your blood flow. They help your oxytocin release and your mood without stressing your body. And remember that gentle workouts help your hormones reset naturally, not to spike them. During our follicular phase, as we said, estrogen is rising, progesterone is low, and we have high insulin sensitivity. For workouts, you can do a little bit of a strength training with a little bit of dumbbells, not very heavy. And Pilates Reformer actually works out your body a little bit more with resistance and sweat. And dancing workouts that take out your breath too are good as well. And why it works is because high estrogen supports muscle developing and fat burning, and low cortisol sensitivity means that your body is going to tolerate more not high intensity workouts, but strength training and reformer Pilates workouts. And your insulin sensitivity is high, which means that your body is going to use the carbs and the excess as a fuel. During your ovulatory phase, you can do a little bit more harder workouts, even if you want high intensity workouts like running as well. But always, even in my ovulatory phase, I would always prefer my Pilates Reformer, or walking. But if you're a girl that enjoys it, make sure that you do it in your ovulatory phase, because cortisol spikes are less likely. During our luteal phase, as we said, progesterone is high and our cortisol sensitivity is even higher, but our insulin sensitivity is low. For workouts, you can do more low impact workouts, or even none. Don't pressure yourself to do workouts on your luteal phase, but walking on a flat ground, Pilates, as we said, home sessions without pressuring or getting out your breath, and yoga and stretching and twisting your body is great for digestion, so it's a great way. And all of this works because your progesterone slows down your metabolism slightly, and high intensity workouts can spike your cortisol and tank your progesterone. I just want you to focus on keeping stress low and moving consistently, like walking, and not overdoing it. So we have two more things that I want to cover. First, tea sinking, and then sit sinking. So, tea sinking. During the menstrual phase, as we said, our hormones are low. Raspberry leaf tea helps ease cramps and replenish iron. Ginger improves blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Chamomile tea calms nervous system, reduces cortisol, and on top of this, helps with your digestion. During your phase, follicular, estrogen begins to rise and progesterone is low. That is when your body needs a mineral replenishment and needs help to detox. Green tea is a gentle caffeine for a little bit of a metabolism boost and energy boost. Peppermint tea helps digestion and reduces bloating. And nettle tea is like nature's multivitamin because it helps replace minerals lost during your menstruation, like iron and magnesium. During your ovulation, your estrogen is at its peak and fertility is at its highest. Spearmint tea is shown in studies to reduce androgens, supporting clear skin and balanced hormones. Dandelion tea supports liver detoxification and prevents estrogen-dominant symptoms like water retention. It literally helps for the water to go to the cells and not in your face and body. Hibiscus tea is great because it balances your hormones and provides hydration. During our luteal phase, we are preparing for menstruation and our progesterone is at its highest. So lemon balm tea calms the nervous system, reduces stress, and improves your mood. Hibiscus tea, as we said, helps to reduce water retention and bloating before your period, and it's a really good antioxidant boost. Your body changes every week, and as your food should change, your tea should change too. Syncing not only helps with your hormonal balance, but also helps to connect more with your body. When we talk about sit syncing, we don't separate the phases as 4 phases. We separate them as the first 2 phases and the last 2 phases. So during your luteal and menstrual phase, it's very good to eat sunflower seeds and sesame seeds because they help to nourish progesterone, calm inflation and stress. During your follicular and ovulation phase, Flax seeds and pumpkin seeds support your estrogen balance and clear excess estrogen. Actually boost ovulation health if you're trying to get pregnant. You can add 1 tablespoon of one of each in your smoothies, yogurt, or ground them, use them as a flour or whatever you like. I want you to know that balancing hormones with your seeds is not going to replace your whole lifestyle, but it's a very simple daily ritual that can give the body, your body, the nudge that it needs. Remember that cycle syncing is not only about preventing PMS and etc. It's about basically becoming your own healer. Every phase has a gift and a need if you meet its needs. Balance cortisol, support estrogen and progesterone, nourish yourself with whole foods, teas, seeds, and movement. And remember that oxytocin is your glow-up hormone. Prioritize joy, connection, love, slower life, and I promise you that everything is going to feel effortless. When you honor your body's rhythm, it's going to give you glow, radiance, and health in return. Okay, loves, I hope that this video was helpful to you because it was very highly requested. All of you said that you're waiting about it impatiently, so I really hope that it helped you somehow. If you have any questions, ask in the comments or text me on Instagram or soon in our subscription channel, The Feminine Diaries. But if you have something that you didn't understand, please text me or ask in the comments. And know that I love you, I kiss you, I wish you all the positivity, goodness and love in this life. See you next time.